Hi guys, today I'm going to be creating an art journal page using some of the supplies from the September Mixed Media Inspired box. So here I'm starting with a piece of Distress Heavy Stock and 3 colors of Distress Oxide sprays. So when you're working with Distress products, because they're water reactive, I always like to spray a little bit of water on my surface before I begin spritzing on, in this case, the Distress Oxides. And then I'm just adding a little bit of water afterwards to kind of help them flow and begin moving, and I'm drying it with my heat tool. Now if you get a lot of ink on your surface, you can feel free to tip the paper as I did and drip some of it onto your craft sheet. And just continue to dry this. Again, you can add a little bit more water as you're working to get different levels of oxidization and just to create a bunch of texture. And I'm going to set that aside to dry completely. Now in my junk journal, I'm going to be working on the dictionary paper, and I'm just putting a little bit of white gesso just to kind of break up some of that text so it's not a solid block. And I'm just spreading it very haphazardly with my palette knife. I wanted to make drips with the oxide sprays, so I took the cover off the rusty hinge and I'm using the top to just run it along and so that it'll drip, and then I'm spraying it with a little bit of water to kind of activate it and make it a little bit more runny. So it'll drip, and I'm doing the exact same steps with the black soot Distress Oxide spray, but I'm not going to spray this with water because there's already some water on the page from my previous layer with Rusty Hinge. And I'm also just going to, let it drip on the craft sheet. I'm tapping it against there so it just goes wherever it wants with the drips. After that's dry, I'm going to use a stamp from the Tiny Toadstools set by Tim Holtz, using the little script stamp, and Black Soot Archival Distress ink. And because it's archival ink, it will not react when I do further layers. I'm also using the Pressed Foliage stamp set by Tim Holtz, and again, archival ink, and I'm going to stamp 4 different leaves onto the piece of Distress Heavy Stock that we created earlier with our oxide sprays. I really love how the Distress Oxides here in Crushed Olive and Rusty Hinge blended together on the paper. Now, because Distress Oxides are a dye and pigment ink fusion, the colors will not blend. So like in a typical situation, if you put orange and green together in the same wet layer, you would have a big mess. Where here you can distinctly see where the green is and the orange is and where it kind of starts to blend together, and it's very mottled, which creates a natural look for these fall leaves. I really love how you can experiment with different color combinations with Distress Oxides because they will not blend into each other and create weird color combinations. Like usually you couldn't ever put, blue and orange or yellow and purple together, but with oxides you can. So that's really fun, again, for experimenting. And now that I have all of these leaves stamped out, I'm just going to use my scissors and fussy cut them. And I'm going to do this exact same thing for all 4 of the leaves, but I'm not going to make you watch it, just you get the point of what I'm doing here. Cut them out. And now I'm going to begin gluing them down. Now here I'm using Dina Wakley Media Ultra Thick Gel Medium, and this is a glue that I really like to use when I'm using heavier weight papers, or like this photo here. So I just use my finger, but you could use a brush. But to be honest, my finger is just easier to clean with a baby wipe than a brush, so that's what I do. So I glued down the 2 leaves, and then I did the photo because I wanted the next 2 leaves to be on top of the photo, so it looked like there was some fallen leaves behind it and then some on top. So this one's overlapping slightly on the bottom left corner. And then for this last leaf, I'm actually going to tuck some of it behind and some of it on the top. And then I decided I didn't like where that one green leaf was, so I just picked it up. The glue wasn't dry yet, so I'm just repositioning it, because I kind of felt like it was lost behind the other leaf, so I'm just moving it. And now I'm going back to this leaf, which I think is an oak leaf. I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong there. Either way, I'm just putting some more of that ultra thick gel on the back. And I'm going to tuck some of it behind and some of it in front. And press that down. And I'm also going to put 2 clipping stickers from the Tim Holtz Ideology clippings that say beautiful days and months, which I thought was fitting for fall. And I also wanted to do some drips with the Black Soot Distress Oxide, but I didn't want any on the front of my photo, so I just used a piece of paper towel to block it, and then taking the cover off, I just tapped it against my hand so that it dotted all over the place. Now the last step I'm using is Stabilo All's pencil, and this is a water reactive pencil. So I just outlined the stickers, and then I'm using a wet brush to kind of blend that out a little bit. And I didn't like that it was how dark it was, so I'm just using a little bit of paper towel to blot some of that up and blend it out more so it's not quite as harsh. And then I liked how that bled out into a gray, almost like an ink stain, so then I thought, well, I'll put that a few more places. So I'm just doing the exact same thing on the left, to the left of the photo and to the right of the photo, and also underneath the photo, because once I got started I just couldn't stop. Thank you so much for watching. We'd really love to see what you're creating using this box on social media using hashtag MixMiniInspired. And also don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos. Have a great day.